All right, let's talk about a huge change that's coming, one that's going to affect pretty much every single person in India. It's going to completely change a habit we've all had for over a decade. We're talking about the end of the Aadhaar photocopy and what this massive shift means for your privacy.
I mean, you've heard it a million times, right? Give a photocopy of your Aadhaar card. Doesn't matter if you're checking into a hotel, getting a new SIM card, or signing up for something. It's just been the standard thing to do, almost a reflex.
But have you ever stopped to actually think about it? Once you hand over that flimsy copy, packed with all your personal info, where does it actually go? Who gets to see it? And, the most important question, is it even safe? Well, that simple question is right at the heart of this massive new policy shift.
That's right. The Unique Identification Authority of India, UIDAI, is rolling out a brand new policy. It's set to take full effect by late 2025, and it basically bans private companies from collecting and storing physical photocopies of your Aadhaar. The era of the Xerox is officially coming to an end.
Now, this isn't just some small rule change. This is a really pivotal moment. We are making a fundamental move away from a system that relies on collecting these insecure little pieces of paper and toward one that's all about instant, secure, and privacy-focused digital verification for everybody.
Okay, so why the big fuss? Why is this change so absolutely necessary? Well, it's because that simple photocopy you've been handing over for years is actually a pretty significant security risk. Let's break down exactly why.
Think about it. The second that piece of paper leaves your hand, you've lost all control. It goes into what you could call a black box of data insecurity. It could end up sitting in an unlocked file cabinet, seen by employees who haven't been vetted, or it could just get tossed in a dustbin when they're done with it, ready for literally anyone to just pick up.
And the risks here, they are not just theoretical. They are very, very real. That single sheet of paper has your name, your address, your date of birth, and your full Aadhaar number. It is a goldmine for anyone looking to commit identity theft, financial fraud, or even use your details to get a SIM card for all sorts of criminal activities.
And here's the kicker, the part that most people don't even realize. In a lot of cases, the simple act of a hotel or a shop storing your photocopy is already a violation of the Aadhaar Act. The law is super clear that only licensed agencies are allowed to store your number. It's a rule that's just been widely ignored for years.
So if collecting paper copies is out, what's the plan? What's the alternative? Well, the new mandate brings in a totally different way of thinking. We're shifting away from collecting your data to simply authenticating that you are who you say you are in real time. This is a fundamental change. The old way was all about possession. I need a copy for my records. The new way is all about verification. I've confirmed this person's identity is legit, and that's all I need to know. It completely removes that dangerous step of storing your sensitive data in the first place.
So the new rules of the game basically boil down to three big things. First, any business that wants to verify your identity has to register with UIDAI. Second, there's a strict, no-nonsense ban on keeping any copies, physical or digital. And third, they have to use these new approved offline verification methods.
All right, this is probably the question you've been waiting for. If we can't use photocopies, then what do we do? How are you actually going to prove your identity at a hotel reception or an office front desk in the future? Let's take a look at the new tools.
The most common method is going to be that secure QR code that's already on every Aadhaar card. What makes it so secure? Well, the data inside is digitally signed by UIDAI, which is like an unbreakable digital seal. It proves the information is authentic and hasn't been messed with. You'll just show your card or your e-Aadhaar, the verifier will scan it with an app, and your details just pop up on their screen for a quick visual match. It's instant, it's secure, and it leaves zero paper trail.
And that QR code scan is just one of the options. If you're more tech-savvy, there's a secure app-to-app transfer you can do. And for those times when a digital record is needed, you can share a password-protected file called offline eKYC. The main takeaway here is that there are multiple secure digital ways to do this, and none of them involve a vulnerable piece of paper.
So what does all of this actually mean for you, the citizen? It's pretty simple, actually. It puts more power back in your hands. You get way more privacy, more control over who gets to see your data, and you no longer have to worry about leaving a trail of your ID copies all over town. Now, for businesses, this is kind of a double-edged sword, at least at first. In the short term, yeah, they'll need to upgrade some tech and train their staff. But in the long run, this dramatically cuts down their risk.
By not storing your data, they're no longer a juicy target for data theft, and they also avoid big penalties under new data protection laws.
And from the government's perspective, this is a massive win. It helps create a paperless, digitally auditable system that lines up perfectly with modern data protection standards. But it's more than that. It's a foundational step for building a high-trust digital economy, one where transactions can happen smoothly and securely because identity can be proven without being compromised.
But let's be real, a change this big isn't going to happen overnight without a few bumps in the road. Getting an entire country of over 1 billion people to change a deeply ingrained habit, well, that's going to mean overcoming some pretty big hurdles.
The source material points out 3 key challenges. First, you've got infrastructure gaps. What about remote areas with bad internet or even unreliable electricity? Second, there's just old-fashioned behavioral inertia, that really strong cultural habit of needing a paper file for everything. And third, you have the digital divide. We have to make sure that the elderly or folks without smartphones aren't left behind.
But even with these challenges, the big picture here is incredibly promising. This whole policy marks the end of an insecure Xerox culture and the beginning of a much faster, safer, and more privacy-respecting scan-and-go culture. It's not just an upgrade. It's a sign that India's whole digital identity project is maturing, and it could even set a new standard for how other countries manage digital ID with privacy right at the center. So really, it all boils down to one big question. This isn't just a tech shift, it's a cultural one. It's asking all of us to put our faith not in a piece of paper we can physically hold, but in a cryptographic signature that we can't even see. So the question is, are we ready to make that trade?